Good evening and welcome. This is a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee of the Halton District School Board for Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all back for the new school year. In order to balance certain members' desires to meet again in person after the last 2 years and other concerns for individual safety, this meeting is being held in a hybrid fashion. Some members are here in the room and others are attending by video conference. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded. As a housekeeping rule, in order to reduce feedback over the video, could all members who are not speaking please mute your microphones so that we don't get feedback. In accordance with Ontario Regulation 463-97 and guidelines effective February the 1st, 2021, HDSB promotes community engagement and participation by having a process in place for members of the public to ask questions. A Google form was attached to the agenda distributed in advance of the meeting and is also posted on the HDSB SEAC website. Questions posed during the live stream meeting of SEAC may be answered during that meeting, particularly if they relate to the agenda items, or at a following meeting at the discretion of the chair. For efficiency, multiple questions received that are similar in nature may be grouped together at the discretion of the chair and or vice chair. Questions will not be attributed. Notation will be made that several people ask the same question. Any questions that contain language that is hateful or discriminatory will not be considered. So first of all, we'll start with a roll call to record who is in attendance. Lucille, if you could move forward with that.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start with the trustees. Tracy.
Hello, everyone.
Heather.
Good evening, everyone.
Joanna.
Good evening, everyone, and happy September.
Margot.
Hi, everybody.
Yalen.
Hello, everyone.
Jen.
Jane will be late.
Lisa Cameron. Candice Keem.
Sent regrets.
Melissa Dockeray.
Here, present. Hello.
Sarah
Lansley sent regrets.
Sophia.
Hi, everyone. Happy September.
Rebecca.
Present.
Allison.
Present.
Diane.
Sent regrets. Diane van den Bosch sent regrets.
Erin.
I'm here.
Catherine.
I'm here. Kathy, I'm here.
James. Diane Miller.
Present.
Myself. Present. Colette and Lorna. Are there any other board staff present at the meeting?
We've also got Sean Marks here.
Sean Marks. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Before we start our meeting, we'll begin by honouring the land. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many of the First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawandaran, the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honour and respect the four directions, land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. So the first step of our meeting tonight is to approve the agenda. Are there any modifications or amendments that anybody would like to make? If so, can you raise your hand either virtually or in the room?
Okay.
Okay, not seeing any. Lou, do you want to?
Yes. Erin, would you like to move a motion to approve the agenda?
Certainly. I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Sophia, can you second this motion?
I second the motion.
Is there any opposition to the agenda as it stands? As we have people online, we'll take that route of opposition. If you are opposing, please raise your hand. Okay, not seeing anything. The agenda is approved unanimously. Next, we have the approval of our June 7th, 2022 meeting minutes. Are there any errors or omissions that anyone would like to bring to our attention? Okay, so Catherine doesn't have access to the agenda or the minutes. We'll see if we can send those over to you, Catherine. Yeah. No other errors or omissions. Lou, would you like to take the motion?
Yes. Yellen, can I ask if you would like to move a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I'll move the motion to approve the minutes.
And I'm looking for a seconder. Somebody to second the motion.
I can second them.
Thanks, Diane.
Okay. Is there any opposition to the minutes as recorded? If you are in opposition to the minutes, please could you raise your hands? Okay, not seeing any. The minutes are approved as recorded. So now we're going to move on to our action items, and the agenda tonight is pretty light. We've only been at school for, just over, about a week, 5 days or so. So lots been going on, obviously, which will be Colette will be filling us in about. But in terms of SEAC actions, there is an election coming up fairly shortly, and as you probably all are aware, the 4-year term of this current SEAC committee is coming to an end. Our term coincides with the appointment of the new trustees and will probably take place in November. The role of SEAC is to provide information, advice and help to support guardians and parents whose children require additional support, and to advise the Halton District School Board on establishing and developing special education programs and services. At this time, I'd like to invite Colette to provide some information on the process for associations and members at large to put forward their candidates for the next SEAC term.
Thank you. Yeah, it was sad that this SEAC is coming to a close, although certainly exciting with opening up the opportunities to new members to also join. At our next meeting, SEAC members and their associations will be provided a letter that explains the process that I'm going to speak to, which is also detailed in our SEAC governance policy, which is posted on our website, but will also be attached to the letter that SEAC members and associations receive. And in this letter, it will ask associations to nominate a representative and an alternative. For SEAC, it can mean that the existing member and alternate is renominated, or new members and alternatives may be nominated. That letter will really trigger about a month timeline by which associations have to submit their new names to the board. And they'd be doing that through Lorna. Our last meeting as a SEAC group this term will be our November 1st meeting. And then following that, we'll be collating all of the new names of the representatives and alternatives that associations put forward. We'll also be advertising for new members at large, as well as new associations. Our policy and the Education Act allows for up to 12 associations to be a part of SEAC. We currently have 8, and so we certainly welcome some additional associations to round us up to 12 or closer to 12. So we'll be advertising for, like I say, new associations and new members at large once this letter is distributed to our existing SEAC members in October. So as I said, our last SEAC meeting will be November 1st. On November 17th, our new board of trustees are sworn in. And our policy states that the new slate of SEAC members is taken in a report to our board in January, the first board meeting in January. So given the timelines that are laid out in our policy, it does mean that we don't have a meeting in December. And currently our meeting that we have scheduled for January falls before the first board meeting, which is problematic in that the board has yet to approve the new SEAC members. So Alison and I are proposing a new date for our January SEAC meeting and moving it to January 17th. So that's the Tuesday after the board receives the report. And that will be an orientation for new SEAC members. And then our regular meetings would resume in February. So that is the general overview of what to expect in the next couple of months, and I'm happy to take any comments or questions on that.
So does anybody have any questions about, okay, Erin.
I beat you to it. Yeah, I guess presumably that process that you just described is going to be laid out in the letter we get in October?
Yes, that's correct. It will all be laid out in that letter that you'll receive next month.
Perfect. Thank you. I was trying to take notes quickly, but I'm sure I missed a few points. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one, seeing as this is my first SEAC rodeo. When you receive the nominations or suggestions from the associations, do you automatically have to accept them, or how does the process of being taken on if you come with an association, how does that work?
Yeah, so ultimately it is the decision of the association to put forward the names, and then the trustees approve them at the board meeting. I'm not aware of a time when the trustees haven't approved the recommendations of the associations, but ultimately the representative of the association has to come from the association itself.
And just to clarify for people who may be listening in, there are certain rules to be on SEAC. You must pay your taxes to the school board. You must be a resident in the area. You must be over 18. I'm pretty sure there's one other rule as well.
And you can't be a staff member.
Yes. Okay. So we're looking for people who are invested in the community, who have something to add to special education, believe passionately in the rights of our students to come and join us at the table and put forward their ideas about how to benefit all students in a Halton District School Board, but especially those with additional needs that we want to take account of. As part of that election process, there is also the opportunity to stand for chair and vice chair. And Lucille and I will welcome any members of the committee to put forward their name if they'd like to be considered for these roles. I do understand that Lucille would like to step down. I'm happy to continue, but I'm also happy to make space for others. But I thought it'd be a good idea to briefly outline what the role entails so that people have an idea of what they're signing up for. So just very briefly, as a chair, my main role is to work with my vice chair and superintendent and team to set the agenda for the next meeting, bearing in mind any important board processes or activities which require input by SEAC and the timings of those, but also other areas of board programming that SEAC has expressed interest in learning more about as it affects their community members. Obviously chair the meeting and hope that I make sure that all members are given an opportunity to speak and share their thoughts in a respectful manner, and that motions on specific actions are taken when appropriate. If motions are passed, the Chair's responsibility is to ensure follow-through, including writing letters on behalf of SEAC to ministers or other boards. And I estimate that my commitment to the whole process is approximately an additional 2 to 4 hours per month, depending on the number of issues that need to be addressed. So I just wanted to give everybody a brief overview of what that role entails. Perhaps, Lou, if you could give everybody a brief overview of what vice chair means, and then we just make sure that everybody has the information necessary to consider if they want to stand again and if they'd like to stand for additional positions.
Thank you. The role of vice chair is very similar to what Alison has described. We meet once a month prior to the meeting to go over the agenda and review anything that's still outstanding as we prepare for the next meeting and in the preparation of that agenda. We also, as a vice chair, I also sit on additional committees, like I sit on the accessibility committee. So there is a certain understanding that you would also be available to sit on various other committees. And also sometimes you're called upon to help the chair or stand in if the chair is not available for any reason. And apart from that, it's just fun to be on the committee and to see everybody. So I've really enjoyed my time both as chair and as vice chair, but I feel that now's the time for me to step down and allow somebody else the opportunity to enjoy these positions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I certainly thank you very much, Lucille, for your continued support in the role and for holding it for such a number of years. So I just wanted to give everybody a bit of an overview of what the process is and then what additional roles there are within SEAC itself. As mentioned, there are the opportunity to join other committees where the Halton District School Board feels that a SEAC voice would be important, and those are the committee reports that are at the bottom of our agenda we raise every month to see if there is additional information to bring. So does anybody have any questions about either the process, the roles, or any concerns about how we get the word out, anything that I'd like to raise at this time? Okay, great. So we will now move on to item 3.0, which is our discussion and question period. So does anybody have any specific questions or discussions or topics that they would like to raise at this point in time? Aaron.
Hi, yes, hi again, thank you. I just have a question. Not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be answered now, but we had a bit of a discussion in our organization about access to technology and how it gets delivered and when it gets delivered. And so now our chapter of Voice covers Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, and Peel. So it's a very large area. And we did an informal poll to say, okay, for your kids that have assistive technology, when do you typically get it? Or sorry, I think we did it at the end of the first week here. So we said, when did you get it this year? And it was kind of split evenly by thirds. 1/3 said they had it and it was ready to go on the first day of school. Another said by the end of the first week, and then the other third said they hadn't received their technology yet. So this certainly there wasn't a scientific poll, and it was not indicative for Halton alone, because like I said, we cover so many areas. But I guess my question was around whether there's a process for making sure our kids get, and maybe not necessarily in the deaf and hard of hearing community, but any of the assistive technologies are delivered in a timely manner or tracked, when maybe we don't get it, because especially in that first week for our kids, learning names, getting instructions from the teacher, it's a really important week to have full access to sound and everything. So I was just wondering whether that was tracked, and if we have any kind of specific process in place for making sure that we get that out to the students and deliver it as soon as possible.
Thanks, Aaron. That's a great question. And I think the answer is going to depend in part on what the technology is, but I'm going to actually turn it over to Sean because he leads that team.
Thanks very much. And it's been a question that's been asked within the schools as well. So as Colette said, it depends on the situation and the technology. We do move as quickly as possible. So it starts first with the school, the CERTs letting us know that the equipment is required, what the state is, if there's any changes. That's immediately relayed to our IPLs and our IRTs. And that can be for any form of assistive technology for our DHH, BLV, and our assistive technology needs. And I can say that for the most part, we get it out as fast as we can possibly get it out when the material is provided, whenever the assistive technology resources are shipped to us. The issue we've run into over the past few months is consistent with basically what all issues facing shipping are right now, which is the lack of materials out there, the lack of equipment, particularly in electronics, so sourcing. So some things we've had to wait on, but we process it right away, and as soon as it's in our schools or shipped to New Street, we get it out to schools. And I can say for our assistive technology with Chromebooks, the turnaround time is roughly 2 weeks, if not less, because we can keep an inventory. But some of the more specialized pieces of equipment that are per student, those may take a little bit longer. And if the vendor and supplier don't have it in inventory because of everything that's going on, it takes us longer. But we work around that with some of the equipment that we have in stock. If we can share that out or loan it out temporarily, we'll do that. But we have nothing on holdback, and it is a fairly fast turnaround if we have the inventory shipped to us in time.
And I would add that a lot of our assistive technology, once it's prescribed for the student keeps that device. There's some equipment that they don't, right? But like amplifying systems for classrooms would stay in our possession and travel from classroom to classroom or school to school. But a Chromebook, for example, once the student receives their Chromebook, they keep it, they take it home for the summer, they bring it back often in September. So there's no delay when it's a prescribed device that the student is able to keep. But there can be times where it requires very specialized setup, and we get out to those classrooms as quickly as possible.
I think
Sorry, Catherine. Yes.
Okay. I think. Oh, that's okay. I think it was Colette who just said that now. I can't really see your face. I'm so sorry. But as based on what Aaron says, like you said that, so for example, for children with FM systems for their hearing aids or the cochlears, and it's prescribed to them, can it go like the first week of school even before? Because if it's already prescribed, you don't have to wait for the inventory to come in. Or does that change every year for the students? for who already has a set FM system. Does that make sense? I really hope it does.
It made sense to Sean, so he's going to answer.
Okay, at least it made sense to someone, so I just want to make sure.
So yes, our staff, our IRTs are in schools even before the first day of schools when the students start moving equipment over. We do that at the end of the year if we know where the student is going to be. So all of that is set up when we know where the student is moving to. Some of the issues that come up, though, especially with our FM systems and things like that, is specialized batteries that we need to get in, those kinds of things. So those are really the only delays that we have. If parents are aware of other delays where equipment isn't being set up, let us know. But our IRTs have been in the schools since the end of August, getting the equipment set up and ready for the students.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, Mark, my personal experience was that both my daughters had their FMs delivered on the first day of school, so that was great, and that was kind of one of the things we thought. Oh, well, I wonder if that, if that experience is good for everyone. And then the other point that I thought of is, I mean, the itinerants can't possibly deliver to every single school. So that's what got me thinking about what the process was around that, because, as a parent, we have a home FM system. I brought it in on the first day because we didn't know if it was, if the other one or when it was going to be delivered. If there's an ability to liaise with parents beforehand, I mean, I'm happy to bring it in because it's the same FM every year. I'm happy to bring it in and show it to the teacher on the first day until they can get their formal training. But I mean, I don't want to hijack the whole meeting over this, so we can maybe follow up more offline.
Great, thank you. Any other questions at this time? No, not seeing any. I think it is time for our superintendent's report.
All right. So as Allison says, we've got 1 week under our belt, and it's been a great startup. We are continuing to run both in-person and remote learning environments, although our numbers in the remote environment are certainly significantly down compared to last year and the year prior. Our return has really felt normal. The energy in schools is back. Pre-pandemic energy, I would say. We're returning with some COVID protocols around masking, if that is preferred by the student and the family. And some reminders around staying home when ill, and some discretion around using the screening tool for schools. But in large part, our schools feel like they've returned back to normal. We are looking at an upcoming reorganization of our system, and that's where our classes are reorganized based on the numbers of students who have shown up. In special education, this means that we will be looking at compliance with ministry requirements around class sizes in our self-contained programs, and where there needs to be some shifts, we will look at those. Also, over the summer, we had some great summer learning programs running, as well as some transitions into school, and I'm going to turn it over to Sean to give an update on those two things.
Thank you. So back to the beginning of July when our summer learning began. This was our third year of providing summer learning and offering programs. I think for good reasons. There was a significant reduction of students accessing these over the 3 years. We had approximately 900 students this year. We ran it differently than the previous years. We ran it for 4 weeks instead of 6. We offered it in 2 2-week blocks, 4 days each. The first block, we had over 500 students, which was a significant proportion of the overall. And then the second block dropped down to just over 300. So tells us that families were able to access other more outside in-person opportunities, which is fantastic for our students. We then offered some booster things late August, specifically for our assistive technology and some of our reading programs. We continued with our programs for gifted learners, students with ASD, some executive functioning opportunities. Students in our life skills programs had opportunities to enjoy some programming. All of this, for the majority, was virtual. We were still in that environment for the summer learning opportunities. We did offer in 3 sites. We had one in Milton, one in Oakville, and one in Burlington for a kindergarten program for students with ASD to get ready to come back to school. And that was a great opportunity. And we had roughly 35 to 40 students take advantage of that program across the board. We were really excited to see them and get to know them so that when their first day on the 6th, they felt that they had some familiarity with the schools. But overall, we got good feedback from parents. The programs were well received, and the staff had a great time enjoying the students and supporting them in those first 2 weeks. Then the transitions, we just finished wrapping that up. That was the last weeks of August, and students were coming into schools. Schools ran that and provided opportunities for families and students to come in and allow them an opportunity to get materials prepared, things for the students to be able to see their environment that they're going to be coming into, and again, get to know the program that they're about to walk into. So roughly every school took advantage of that. So probably, I think we're looking at around 500 students easily that were given that opportunity and took advantage of it.
Great, thanks, Sean. Lots of great things that were happening over the summer for our students. On top of the programs that we ran, there were programs that were offered through our school programs department, as well as Gary Allen, which runs our summer school programs, and our Welcome Center that ran specialized programs for students who are new to Canada. This year was also quite unique in that the ministry provided some tutoring dollars for our community agencies to offer programs to Halton families free of charge. And so we had a number of organizations participate in that process, the largest being LDAHH. And Alison, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your programs this summer.
Yes, we had some absolutely amazing programs filled with amazing children. We ran a reading program. It was a 3-week program for reading once a day. Amazing getting children who desperate to come to a reading program in the middle of summer. It really tells you something that they're enjoying it. We did math programming, we did executive functioning, and also some transition programming. And all in all, in our LDAHH programming, we served over 500 students this summer.
And so in addition to LDAHH, we had Halton Black Voices, the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton, and the YMCA of Hamilton, Burlington, and Bradford that ran programs for our students. On top of some summer learning opportunities, our staff on our psychoeducational consultants and speech and language pathologists conducted approximately 80 assessments for students. So it was a busy summer for everybody. Much like the summer, the fall will also be busy, and the ministry has again provided funding from September to December for community organizations to provide tutoring supports for Halton students. And again, LDAHH is one of a few significant providers. I don't know if you want to speak to what you're going to offer in the fall as well, Alison.
Yes, so just to let everybody know, we have, through the Halton District School Board, we have over 200 spaces available for a reading program to help vulnerable readers from age of 6 to about 12, 13 years old, running 1 hour twice a week for 8 weeks, one-on-one program. So a really exciting program. We'll have in-person sites, Milton and Burlington, and then online opportunities for those whom that is not geographically possible.
And in addition to LDAHH, we have the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Halton and Hamilton, Park Street Education, Halton Black Voices, the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton, and the YMCA of Hamilton, Burlington, and Brantford that will be offering services to students. And the board will be promoting those opportunities very shortly. So more information will be sent out to families about that. The ministry has also provided some additional funding for us to conduct assessments. Our team has decided to focus on psychoeducational assessments to address our waitlist times. Unfortunately, we're not able to use it for staffing, and therefore we have hired 2 private psychoeducational consultants to conduct about 60 assessments on our behalf. So those assessments are in the process of being selected, and they will be completed by December as well. And that's everything for me, but happy to take any questions.
Any questions at this time? Yarlene.
Hi, I'm really excited to hear the funding provided and for the tutoring and as well as the assessment service in the fall. So I just have a question that, how will the board reach out and to the family, and how are the children access those services? So are they self-selected or recommended by teacher, or who will access those services and how?
Yeah, that's a great question, Yarlene. It essentially is self-selected or parent-selected, I suppose, in that we will promote the opportunities, and parents can choose an opportunity if they see a good fit that matches a need for their child.
Great. And so in the information, I assume the letter will go out and through the board communication channel and to all family and the parents. And so in that communication, and so there should be contact information so parents can take those opportunity to contact directly, right?
That's right. So each organization will have a registration process. So if I recall our summer process, the promotional material drove families to the board's website, and then we had links to the registration process for the associations. So I imagine that process will be similar in the fall.
So the parents don't have to go through the school system in order to access, through the teachers and the principals to access those services.
No, that's correct. So they will register directly with the organization.
Excellent. So would there be information about the services provided by those organizations? Because those organizations may have different focuses and the different specialized service to support and the different needs and of the students. So would those services, information about those services be provided?
Yes, so each organization has provided a description of what they're offering, and that will be what's communicated out to families.
Excellent. Thank you.
And just to add in, as one of the organisations that has provided some of this support and will provide it in going forward, just to clarify, it's not for all of our programmes. It's for the programmes that has been deemed a priority by the school board. There are other programmes available, so we're linking directly to the school website is linking directly to the registration page for the specific program that's being offered and is the priority of the schools. So sometimes there may be a program that another program that we offer that a parent is interested, but that would be a direct relationship with us as an organisation.
Thank you, Alison.
Any other questions?
I had a question. Sorry, I don't know if you can see
yes,
my
I
hand.
did see your hand.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask for clarification there that I've heard that there's organizations like Sylvan or Mathnasium or Spirit of Math, that those organizations will be eligible as well, that parents would be able to select those organizations to provide tutoring. Is that correct?
Thanks, Melissa. One of the ministry requirements in the agreement that we sign to receive these funds stipulates that the organizations have to be not-for-profit. So last spring, we put out a call for proposals to our community organizations. So we put it out quite broadly and invited any not-for-profit organization to submit a proposal. And then those proposals were reviewed and selected and approved. So it wasn't opened up to for-profit organizations, only not-for-profit.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. That's important.
Any other questions? Okay, then we'll move on. Unless there's a hand just gone up. Nope. Okay. We'll move on now to the association report. So do any associations have anything they'd like to share with us at SEAC? Okay, well, you know that I cannot go through a SEAC meeting without telling you something about what we're doing. So I'm going to let you know that at this point in time, the Learning Disabilities Association of Halton Hamilton has a really amazing program that is actually free of charge for students in grades 10 to 12 plus. It's something we called Next Steps, and it focuses on the transition out of high school into careers. It's for students with primarily with LDs, although we do take other exceptionalities. What we're focusing on is helping our students identify pathways. So working on their end goal and then working back from that to work out a number of different pathways to allow them to achieve the career that they want to, whether that is apprenticeship, college, work, or university. The wonderful thing about the program is it's led by people with LDs and ADHD and other neurodiversity. And so there's a great connection there. And also we have a number of different community partners that come in and speak to the youth about opportunities that are available and the supports that are available in the community for them. We have funding from the Halton region. And for those in Hamilton, we also have funding for Hamilton. But we have placements, and the program will be starting in a couple of weeks. If you want to go to our website, it's a great opportunity to get some in-depth reflection on where you might want to go with a career. So, any other announcements? Okay, then I'm going to ask the trustees for their report.
Okay, thank you. I will start. Hello. I want to let you know that the board met for the first time this school year last Wednesday, and it was wonderful to be together here in the boardroom. Like SEAC, we have the hybrid option as well, and we're kind of getting into a good rhythm, it feels like. At that board meeting, the draft equity and inclusive education policy came forward, and the recommendation was that the draft be sent for legal review, and that was approved. So in our notes for these minutes, we'll include a link so you can check out the draft of that policy. There are sections which speak to things like shared and committed leadership, inclusive curriculum and assessment, practices mental health, school climate, and school community relationships, among other things. So that will probably be of interest. There's also a new draft Indigenous education policy which has also been submitted for legal review, and we'll include the link. Let's see here. We also talked about school naming and renaming governance procedure, and this has been referred to Committee of the Whole next week for discussion. Actually, tomorrow night. I'm kind of losing track of time. One of the points that's being considered right now is whether or not schools should be named after people. And trustees, I believe, reflect the community in the sense that there's lots of discussion on that topic right now, and people aren't necessarily yet of one mind, but we'll see how that conversation goes. And certainly if you have any ideas in that regard, we'd love to hear it. Other agenda items include a revised bylaw, which governs how we operate in the boardroom. So lots of rules there. And a reflection on some training that Chair Margot and I took in the summertime around religious literacy and diversity. And one of the things that the group talked about in that training, and the group was quite diverse, we talked a bit about Section 264(1)(c) of the Education Act. And this section speaks about the duties of the teacher, religion and morals subsection. That's what it is called. And it states to inculcate, which is a new word for me, by precept and example, respect for religion and the principles of Judeo-Christian morality, and the highest regard for truth, justice, loyalty, love and country, humanity, benevolence, sobriety, industry, frugality, purity, temperance, and all other virtues. So that was surprising to me when I learned a couple of years ago that that's in the Education Act today, given the diversity of the community that we and Ontario and the country are part of. I'm not sure that teachers' colleges teach about Judeo-Christian morality, nor necessarily should they. So anyway, the group had a really great discussion around that. And so we're going to see what our colleagues think about that at Committee of the Whole tomorrow night. Similarly, if you have any comments on that, would certainly love to hear them. And over to Heather here.
Thank you, Tracy. Later this month, the newest draft of what we call LTAP, the long-term accommodation plan, will be launched for the community. We are looking for their ideas, comments, and questions. Long-term accommodation plan is an annually reviewed planning tool that provides enrollment projections to the best of our ability, of course, to guide accommodation planning needs and actions over a 15-year time period. Planning staff have reimagined this document, and this release has tons of user-friendly information, and it really is. It's great. I think it just landed in our mailbox about 5 minutes ago. The board's scheduled to the end of this term, because as Colette mentioned earlier, we're coming to a close. September 21st, tomorrow we have a Committee of the Whole. September 21st, there's a board meeting. October 12th, there's a board meeting. October 19th is Committee of the Whole. October 26th is a board meeting. November the 2nd is a board meeting. November 9th is a special board meeting, which will be the last gathering of the current board. And November 16th is the inaugural meeting of the 2022 and 2026 Board of Trustees. And if you've seen anything that inspires you at the schools, please submit an Inspire Award. It's given to an individual or group that is formally or informally associated with the Halton District School Board who support our students and their achievements through exemplary caring, initiative, innovation, and creativity. And that's all we have. Any questions? Feel free.
Where can we submit a recommendation for an Aspire Award?
That's an excellent question, and I should have told you it's on the board website, and it's a trustee award. So just jump on the board website and search Inspire Word and there it'll be. It's a pretty easy application.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just to add to what Heather was saying, in terms of the Inspire Award, what's really helpful, it's a pretty short application form. If you can be as specific as possible with examples, it really helps to helps the assessment team to kind of go through, and that way people don't have to request an example kind of thing. Because what happens is when people get the honor, we say a little bit about them at the board meeting, and so it helps to have some great examples of how they've inspired you.
That's wonderful. So does anybody have any questions for the trustees? Not at this time. Okay. So I will ask, although I don't imagine that the committees have had much time to meet, but I will ask and see if there's any updates from the standing committees of which SEAC is involved. So the Parent Involvement Committee. No. Accessibility Coordinating Committee. I think, Lou, you're on that one?
Yes, we haven't met yet.
Yeah. Equity and Inclusive Education Advisory Steering Committee. Again, probably have not had time to meet. And the Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy Steering and Advisory Committee.
No, we haven't met yet.
Okay, thank you, Yarlene. So we're now at item 5.0, which is any next agenda items that people would like to raise now. We are looking to get a number of groups to come to SEAC and talk about some of the initiatives that they're working on. But if anybody has any specific things that they would like to see brought to SEAC, feel free to raise them now or send them to me separately. And Colette has something.
And I have confirmed with the Student Wellbeing Department that they will come and present an update on their mental health and wellbeing strategy in November at our November SEAC meeting.
Great. I think bearing in mind the struggles that our kids have had and some of their new initiatives, that'll be wonderful. Anybody else got any other ideas? Again, we will be reaching out to our community organizations, particularly as we transition to potentially having new people around the table, to get our organizations to explain any work that they do, the type of advocacy work that they do, how they represent their community, so that we all have a better understanding of where to direct clients who may have intersectional needs to be supported. Yes, Rebecca.
Just wondering if at some point we could have some overview on special programming or special programs that Halton District School Board offers, whether it be life skills programming or the pathways programming, those types of things, for families to know about what is out there. So if families are looking forward, they're coming into the school system in kindergarten, grade 1, where their child may have opportunities come grade 3, 4, 5 type thing.
Sounds great. We can take that certainly to the discussion for the agenda and see what we can bring before the group. So does anybody have anything else they would like to raise this time?
I was just thinking of maybe topics about for the deaf and hard of hearing community, because a lot of times I think a lot of times people don't know how to work with children with deaf and hard of hearing or communities. So I think it would be really important, when you're talking to someone that's hard of hearing or deaf, you look at them and stuff. So I think, and also what programs are out there for their kids so that we can lead them in the right directions. Like, for example, for Aaron and I, voice, and there's so many other things out there as well for children who are deaf and hard of hearing.
Yeah, and I'd love if we could get Voice to come and present about some of the work that you do and the clients. So we'll touch base separately and see if we can get you to come and actually present to the group. That would be wonderful. Any other points at this time? Yeah, James.
Yeah, I would like to hear about the hard of hearing and the deaf as well. It'd be really interesting for me. Plus, also, I was hoping to see last year, and I don't think it came about, was the program on. They were maybe they did show that. I'm not sure, but the one on the hospital placements for students that I think they had a program out at Trafalgar or something.
Yeah,
that was really fascinating.
Yes, so I think we did have an update on that one, but it is a wonderful program.
It is an amazing program, and we last spring took our director and some trustees on a tour, and that prompted a request for our team to present at next week's board meeting. So we'd be happy to bring that presentation to SEAC because we'll be all primed and ready to go for the board next week. So we could certainly look at that for October if we'd like to get that presentation in before the SEAC retires. So.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So it is now, if there are no more questions at this stage, this will be one of our shortest ever SEAC meetings, but as we said, we are about 5 days in, so there's not too much to report at this time. So having gone through the agenda at 8:04, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for attending, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.